I used to be a third shift paramedic before I was violently retired, and my ambulance was owned by a private corporation. And you know where they made most of their money? It was certainly not that time I electrocuted a teenager back to life. And even though I saw a shocking amount of gunshot wounds in Connecticut, way more than I saw in Afghanistan, by the way, and I saw just plenty in Afghanistan, thank you very much. I guess even war struggles to top seeing a guy shot 27 times, which I don't want to get too clinical, is too many times. Nah, they made their money on transports, and they just did EMS incidentally to have a billboard with their name on it with lights and sirens getting them those transport calls. Just a point A to point B trip. We'd pick up John at his house, take him to dialysis, bring him home. You know what paid for most of that? A lot of the time it was Medicaid. Keeping that dialysis clinic open, and the hospital that John needs to visit, and the doctor that we might take him back and forth to. And all of that paid the ambulance so that I could sit in the corner of that town and wait for that guy to get shot 27 times. Not that I had anything to do for that man, because again, that's too many times. God complex or no, after 15, it's like, come on. But it's fine to kick 16 million people off of healthcare so that all of these things that subsist on that healthcare can just fail. All these hospitals that are going to shut down all across these rural areas.
Now, as we heard in the last part of this first video clip that we will be listening to today, we will be today listening to two video clips. And in this first video clip, the last part, as we heard, the Medicaid cuts will actually, there will be a lot of job loss connected to it. There will be a lot of labor market stress connected with these Medicaid cuts. And this is the part that I truly want to dedicate this video to, as the big beautiful bill is going to be passed maybe soon. I want to dedicate this entire video to the relationship of Medicaid cuts that are introduced in this new big beautiful bill, and the relationship that it will have towards the labor market, towards the job market, and how it will influence the job market and the labor market. But we will also talk about a little bit about the medical healthcare industry in the United States in general. There will be a little bit of a general information. So before we dive deep into this topic, allow me to just introduce myself. My name is Joe. If you haven't heard of me yet, or if you haven't watched any of my videos yet, I talk about geopolitics and macroeconomics. And then sometimes I even do a little bit of vlogs that nobody watches. But that's about me. I also write an exciting, unique blog that is truly fun to read. So make sure to check that one as well. Also, please, I will ask you for one favor before we start this video, before we really kick this video, before we really start things off, before we really jump into it. I will just ask you for one favor. Make sure to smash that like button, make sure to smash that subscribe button. It helps the algorithm, and it helps It helps to boost this video, it helps to boost this channel, it helps the channel grow, so I will ask you to do that. And right now, we will start the video with another video clip, with a second video clip, in which, in this video clip, we will listen to a chief data analyst who has written extensively about labor market, and who has data analyzed the labor market, and who has been paying attention recently a lot towards the healthcare related part of the labor market. And so, guys, let's take a listen to this video clip.
So, Eric, last time we spoke, we talked mostly about the labor market. It was in 2024 on my previous show. You've built this incredible, truly incredible platform to dive deep into the labor market and see where are jobs being added, where are jobs being subtracted. Today, I want to talk to you about the healthcare industry, because what I learned from your platform is that over half of the jobs added to the labor market over the past few years have been in healthcare. So people think, oh, it's just the government and it's just this, but really it is in healthcare. And I want to know, where is that strength coming from? And also, do you think that it is about to end? Because, in something you wrote recently, you compare the healthcare industry now to banks in 2008. So I take it you're not particularly optimistic. So just walk us through how you started thinking about this and what you think will come for the healthcare sector.
So the set that you were referring to is the one that I've been kind of like shopping around, which, if you look at the data visualizations, which we talked about at length the last time that we spoke, and by the way, just kind of as an additional plug, is free to the public for anyone to use at bancreek.com. If you look at the last 2 years and you drill down within the levels of the BLS hierarchy, you'll see that 63% of all jobs, you got to do a little math to figure this out, but 63% of all private jobs have come from healthcare and social assistance. Now, you may be like, okay, well, is that a lot or a little? Well, just note for context that only 17% of the workforce is in healthcare and social assistance. And so what really got me thinking about this was like looking at this data. Like, I have no particular expertise on labor data. Like, I'm not an economist. I'm just a data analyst, And so as I started working with this data, the healthcare space just keeps coming back to bite. I keep trying to run away from it, and yet the data pulls me right back in. And so as I'm looking at this data, I'm like, oh no, like, what if I subtracted this out? How strong is the economy actually? And the answer is we've added about 40 to 45,000 jobs per month, private jobs, over the last 2 years, which I don't need to tell you is not a very healthy level for an economy. It is not going to sustain full employment. You could argue we may already be in a recession had we not had this monstrosity, this problem, this unsolvable problem, I would say, that is healthcare, because it is our economic engine, but it is so messed up, so inefficient, so much profiteering, so much price discrimination. But if we say we want to end it like quickly, well then, the house of cards kind of collapses, right? Because it's not like this money is just going into, the pockets of the evil empire. I mean, it is creating a lot of jobs as well. And so I don't know the answer to this. I'm just looking at it and I'm like, I don't really know how we work this out. You either keep going down this path, and I remember you mentioning this, it was such a good call out. It's like healthcare has become the backstop of the economy. And so it softens recessions, right? Because it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing, getting bigger and bigger. Well, now all of a sudden, here we are a year and a half later, and there's real talk about ending this, and it's not going to completely end it. It's not going to happen overnight. But when you're talking about taking $1 trillion out of Medicaid over 10 years, I mean, right now we're spending about $900 billion on Medicaid. Like $100 billion a year is a huge chunk of money that's going to come out of that. And it's never happened before. We just don't. This is the unknown that we're venturing into. And it just seems very, very hard to kind of wrap your head around, like, how do we grow our way out of this if we're going to kill the golden goose?
Now, nothing in life is black and white. Nothing in life is just good and evil. There is a lot of gray zone. There is a huge amount of gray zone. And we have to talk about the pros and cons of the healthcare industry in the United States. I first truly want to start with one of the biggest pros that actually Eric mentions in the podcast that I have took this clip from. He actually mentions one of the biggest pros that I also want to mention in today's video. If you have the time to spare, I would recommend you to watch this podcast. It is a little bit lengthier. It is over an hour, but if you have the time to spare, it is truly worth listening to. They go into the great details of the healthcare industry and the consequences that it will have on the labor market. But one thing that I truly want to mention, so that we are not just one-sided, biased, the biggest pro of the healthcare industry in the United States is truly the innovation of new drugs and the development of new drugs. that is something that the entire healthcare industry in the United States truly prioritizes. And most of the innovation in the last 50 years, and maybe even in the last 70 years that we have in medical industry, in the healthcare industry, has been solely done by the United States' healthcare industry. It has been truly a miracle what we have been able to achieve. That is because the healthcare industry in the United States prioritizes innovation and development of new drugs. And it truly, we all truly around the globe benefit from this innovation. But sadly, it has been done on it has been achieved by taking advantage of the customer. And when we talk about healthcare industry, the customer is the patient. It has been done by taking advantage of the patient, by profiteering, by price gouging that has been taken place in the healthcare industry. And as Eric points out, as the chief analyst that we listened to in the second video clip that we listened to, as he points out, this has been very beneficial, but not just for the evil corporations, but this has truly created a huge job market, a huge labor market that many have benefit from. This has created a lot of economic opportunity and economic growth, and this has not only benefited very few, but it has created a lot of jobs. But sadly, this entire industry has taken advantage of the patient at the end, and eventually this is not very, as Eric points out in the interview, this is not necessarily free market driven, but there is a lot of secrecy surrounding the prices that people pay in the healthcare industry in the United States. This creates a lot of price arbitrage between various profiteering middlemen in the healthcare industry. And so on paper it may seem like there is a thin margins, but there are a lot of middlemen actors who have benefited from this industry. And it is creating quite a big burden on the national budget. Now, what do we mean when we say that the healthcare industry creates resilience during recession? Is that on the stock market, there are different types of stocks, and some of them are considered defensive play or defensive part of the portfolio or hedging. And the entire healthcare industry is usually considered as a defensive play, as a hedge. That is because traditionally the healthcare sector done very well during recessions. That is because even though when there is a economic downturn, severe economic downturn like in 2008, the healthcare industry shows a lot of resilience. That is because health is the last thing that people ever touch when it comes to spending. Health is something we all prioritize, and so you cannot just cut your health spending. When you are sick, and you have to deal with it. You have to spend. And so when it comes to healthcare industry as a whole, it is a sector that even during recessions people spend in, and so this create a true resilience. And one of the things that driven the resilience in couple of last years in recent history has been Medicaid, has been the subsidized cost by the government that created a lot of resilience in the healthcare sector, which with the big beautiful bill in the new proposal may be cut quite severely. There is not just the Medicaid that is provided to the people who truly need it, to the people who can't afford it otherwise, but there are also subsidies for basically if you are paying normal healthcare, the government for a certain amount of people subsidizes the difference between normal healthcare and premium healthcare, and so this may go away as well. And this will create all of this Medicaid cuts together will create a lot of stress on the entire healthcare sector, and this may result in quite a severe job loss. This will impact the labor market quite negatively. That is relatively easy to predict. It's not a hard prediction to make. And so even though usually healthcare sector is considered to be very resilient and very safe bet, very safe hedge against a particular economic downturn, in this particular instance, it may not be true. Also, what Eric, the chief data analyst, mentions in the later part of the podcast is that balancing the budget is extremely hard, and we have to understand that the Medicaid has ballooned a little bit in recent years as everybody was trying to profiteer the spending that the United States government has to do, that is obligated to do due to the policy requirements, has ballooned a little bit in quite recent years, as everybody is trying to price hikes their cost and pass it on the patient. This has resulted in quite an increase of spending that the government is required to do. And so balancing the budget is becoming harder and harder and harder. It is definitely not an easy task. One thing that I want to point out that I have noticed is that the second Trump's presidency, this second Trump's administration feels very, very, very chaotic, and it feels like they are doing everything with a hammer. They are cutting everything with a chainsaw, per se. Everything feels like it's being done with brutal force, and like it's not being well thought through, that there hasn't been the optimal amount of analysis done, the optimal amount of inquiry done in order to make certain decisions, and everything feels rushed out. And we can definitely feel that with the tariffs policy that has essentially been all stripped away, or at least the severe amount of tariffs that were first proposed have been mainly stripped away. That is because a lot of these policies are quite done with quite a brutal force. They are being, I feel like they are not being well thought through, and they are not being done the required amount of deep analysis that would prevent unwanted consequences from happening. And that feels like it is a recurring theme connected with this Trump's administration. And when it comes to the Medicaid cuts that are introduced in the big beautiful bill, it follows the same pattern, the same brutal force, chaotic, no analysis pattern that we may have seen up until this time. Now guys, listen up. I have a huge announcement to make. I have a big furry announcement to make. One of our investigative journalists, Poppy Gloria, has been able to secure interview with Bigfoot. So make sure to watch out for that video. It's going to be up on my channel soon. It's truly, truly, truly exciting and amazing. And you definitely don't want to miss out on that interview. And with this being said, make sure to check out the blog that I write. It is amazing, unique, original, and everything you ever wanted. Also, make sure to smash that like button, make sure to smash that subscribe button, make sure to check out the videos here, make sure to check out the videos there, and everywhere. And guys, I will see ya in the next one. Bye bye. Bye bye.